Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're going to unpack something huge, that big leap from high school to university.
Yeah, it's a really pivotal time for so many people.
Definitely. And we want to explore, what personal qualities, what approaches really matter for academic success in that crucial first year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been through it or you know someone who's about to, this should give you a bit of a shortcut to what the research says are the key things.
That's the plan. And we're basing this on a really solid piece of work, a big review published just this May, Educational Psychology Review.
Okay, a review. So they looked at lots of different studies.
Exactly. Think of it like they've sifted through a ton of research really rigorously to pull out the common threads, the reliable findings about what helps students succeed academically right at the start of uni.
Right. So we get the highlights without reading like dozens of papers.
Pretty much. And the researchers behind this, they were really zeroing in on those personal factors.
Okay. Things within the student themselves.
Yeah, the internal stuff, things that might put them at risk, academically speaking, or things that might actually protect them during that first year.
Got it.
And what's great about this review is how careful they were. Very systematic.
How so?
Well, they focus specifically on students making that direct jump from high school traditional first years, they called them.
Okay, not, say, mature students or international students necessarily.
Right. They deliberately excluded some groups to keep the focus tight. And crucially, they looked at longitudinal studies.
The ones that follow people over time.
Yes. So you can see how these factors actually play out during that first year, not just a snapshot. That's really valuable.
Makes sense. So, okay, let's talk about that first year. Why is it often such a challenging time academically? What makes the transition itself so significant?
Well, like the researchers say, moving to university is just this period of massive change. Almost every part of life shifts.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
You've got tougher academic demands, usually, a whole new social scene to figure out. And often, it's the first time living away from home, being independent. All that together can be, well, pretty overwhelming for some.
Right. It's way more than just harder homework, isn't it? It's this whole adjustment. And it sounds like the researchers felt maybe the existing research was a bit scattered.
That's a good way to put it. They noticed that while loads of studies looked at this, they often used different methods or focused on slightly different things.
Which makes it hard to compare and see the big picture, I guess?
Exactly. Hard to pin down which factors are really the most important for academic success in year one.
So this review tries to bring it all together. How many studies did they end up analyzing?
After searching the big databases, say Kinfo, Web of Science, ERIC, and DISTISN, they found 27 studies that met their criteria.
27. Okay, so that's a decent body of research they synthesized.
Definitely. They did the heavy lifting for us.
All right, so what did they find? What are the main kinds of personal factors that emerged as being really important? Because personal factors could mean a lot of things.
It really could. But the review groups them quite neatly. We can break it down into maybe a few key areas.
Okay.
First up, there's psychological stuff and personality traits. The review itself points to personality being pretty influential.
Right.
And within that, one really interesting thing is something called identity style.
Identity style, what's that exactly?
It's basically about how you go about figuring out who you are. Are you actively exploring different options? Do you tend to commit quickly based on others' views, or are you kind of avoiding the whole question?
Oh, okay.
And some research they included suggests that this approach, your style, seems linked to how well you do academically during this transition.
That makes a strange kind of sense. If you're more settled in who you are, maybe you can focus better on the academics.
Potentially, yeah. It's about having that foundation, perhaps. Another big one under this psychological umbrella is adaptability.
Being able to roll with the punches, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. One study found a strong link between how well students adjust to the new environment and how engaged they are, and ultimately, their grades.
Yeah, you definitely need that. University life throws curveballs.
It really does. Different lectures, new ways of learning, managing your own schedule. Being flexible seems crucial.
Totally. It's not just about being smart, but
Yeah,
resourceful, too.
exactly. And that connects nicely to another concept, growth mindset.
Oh, yeah, the idea that you can actually get smarter, that abilities aren't fixed.
Precisely. And a study found that students who believed they could develop their abilities tended to get better grades during this tough transition time.
That's encouraging, because it's something you can work on, right? It's not set in stone.
Absolutely. It suggests mindset is malleable. Then there's emotional intelligence, EI.
Understanding your own emotions and other people's.
You got it. And studies link higher EI to better academic outcomes. Seems being emotionally savvy helps you navigate university life.
And the opposite is true too, I imagine.
Well, they mentioned something called alexithymia.
Alexi, what now?
Alexithymia. It's basically having difficulty identifying and describing your own feelings.
Ah,
And yeah, another study found that this difficulty could negatively impact academic performance. If you can't quite grasp how you're feeling, it's harder to manage stress or stay motivated, maybe.
yeah, that makes total sense. If you're struggling emotionally but can't pinpoint why, it must affect everything else.
And then there are different kinds of self-belief, like general self-efficacy that I can handle this feeling when facing challenges,
Right.
and also social self-efficacy, confidence in your ability to connect with others, make friends, navigate social situations.
That seems really important in a new place.
Definitely. One study specifically showed how important that social confidence was for students transitioning successfully. Feeling like you can handle the social side seems key.
Okay. Anything else in this psychological bucket?
Just the broader idea of having psychological resources, sort of your overall toolkit of mental strengths and coping mechanisms. Having more of those resources seems generally linked to better academic performance, too.
Okay, so that's a lot going on internally. What about how students actually approach their learning, their study habits and motivation? That must be critical.
Absolutely. That's the second big category, learning and motivational factors. And no huge surprise here, self-regulated learning pops up as massively important.
So managing your own learning, planning, monitoring.
Exactly. Think about it. High school often guides you quite a bit. University, much more independence. You need to structure your own time, set goals, figure out what study methods work, check if you're actually learning.
Right, the training wheels come off.
Pretty much. And several studies they reviewed really hammer home how vital those skills are for doing well academically when you have that freedom.
Yeah, you have to be your own project manager, in a way.
That's a great way to put it. And tied into this is your learning goal orientation. Are you focused on actually mastering the material, understanding things deeply, improving your skills? Or are you mainly focused on just getting the grade?
The learning itself versus just the outcome.
Right. And research suggests that students who are more focused on that mastery, on genuinely learning, tend to perform better academically. That intrinsic drive helps.
So loving the learning process matters.
It seems so. Now, on the flip side, procrastination.
Uh-oh. The old enemy.
He chuckles slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The review confirms what many of us probably suspect: putting things off really hurts your academic achievement during this transition. One study looked right at that link.
I can believe it, especially when you're trying to find your feet. What about perfectionism? I feel like that could cut both ways.
It's tricky, you're right. Wanting to do well is good, obviously, but that really intense maladaptive perfectionism where you're terrified of mistakes, everything has to be flawless, that can actually backfire.
Yeah, it can be paralyzing.
Exactly. The review notes the research here is a bit mixed in the context of this specific transition, so it's complex. But certainly, that unhealthy perfectionism isn't helpful.
Okay. And what else in the learning zone?
One last thing is attributional thinking about failure.
How you explain messing up, basically.
Yep. When you face setbacks, do you blame things you can't control? Or do you see it as, okay, what can I learn here? How can I do better next time? How you explain failure seems to impact your motivation moving forward.
Right, blaming yourself versus blaming the situation, or seeing it as a learning opportunity.
Exactly. Seeing it as changeable and learnable is generally more adaptive.
Okay, we've covered the internal world, the learning approach. But students aren't islands, right? What about the people around them? Social factors.
Crucial point. That's the third major category. And one foundational piece here is parental attachment.
Still matters even when you leave home.
Apparently so. Studies found that having a secure, supportive relationship with parents was linked to better overall college adjustment and academic achievement. That stable base seems really important.
That's quite interesting. Even as independence grows, that connection helps.
It seems to provide an anchor. And beyond just parents, there's broader social support from family and peers.
Having people in your corner.
Exactly. Feeling supported in your academic efforts, by family, by friends, that makes a difference to motivation and grades. It links to that general idea of having social resources you can draw on.
A good network helps you weather the storms.
Precisely. The review also talks about feeling integrated into the university itself, feeling like you belong there, feeling committed to the institution.
Okay, like feeling part of the community.
Yeah. One study suggested that feeling connected and committed were good signs of a successful transition. It makes you more likely to stick with it and succeed.
And forming a student identity. Is that part of it?
Yes, that's mentioned too. Developing that sense of I am a university student, seeing yourself as part of that environment, that's part of the adjustment process as well.
So it's about becoming part of the place, not just attending classes there.
Nicely put. And that leads us to the final category, well-being and coping.
Right. Because you can't really thrive academically if you're struggling personally.
Absolutely not. And the research bears that out. How students rate their own mental and physical health seems linked to how well they adjust overall.
So feeling well helps you adapt better.
Seems so. And it's not just about personality traits, remember. How you cope with stress, how you manage challenges. Those coping strategies play a big role in mediating how things like personality affect your grades.
So it's not just who you are, but what you do when things get tough.
Exactly. Your coping skills matter. And finally, the review touches on the fact that psychological well-being isn't static. It can fluctuate, especially during that first year or so.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a roller coaster.
Right, which just reinforces why keeping an eye on well-being is so critical for academic success during this period.
Wow, okay. That's a really comprehensive look. Psychological traits, learning styles, social connections, well-being. When you pull it all together, what's the big takeaway message from this review?
I think the main thing is that academic success in that first year is super complex. It's definitely not just about how good your high school grades were.
Right, it's much broader than that.
It's this dynamic mix of how you think, how you learn, who supports you, and how you feel. It all interacts.
And the researchers hope understanding this mix can help.
Yeah, their ultimate goal is to use these insights to develop better ways to support students, to maybe identify who might struggle early on, and figure out interventions that boost those protective factors we talked about.
Making that transition smoother, more successful for more people.
That's the idea.
So for someone listening, maybe they're heading to uni or they know someone who is, what's the practical value here?
Well, just knowing about these different factors is empowering, I think. It highlights areas you could actually pay attention to.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so thinking about the psychological factors, knowing that a growth mindset helps. That encourages you to maybe challenge those fixed beliefs if you have them, to see challenges as opportunities to learn.
Right, you can actively cultivate that.
Or knowing self-regulated learning is key. That might prompt you to consciously work on your planning or time management skills before you even start, or early on.
Proactive steps.
Exactly. Or understanding the importance of social support. That might encourage someone to make more effort to connect with others, join clubs, build that network.
And for well-being.
Prioritize it. Know where the support services are on campus. Build healthy routines. Don't let self-care slide, even when academics get intense.
So the big message seems to be success isn't predetermined.
Hmm.
There are lots of personal levers you can potentially pull to navigate this transition well.
I think that's a really good summary. It's about the whole person, not just the student part.
This has been fascinating, really drilling down into what makes a difference during such a key life stage.
It's a rich area of research, definitely.
So as a final thought for everyone listening, considering all these different pieces, the psychological, the motivational, the social, the well-being, think about your own experience or someone you know. Which one factor do you personally feel plays the biggest role in adapting and thriving in that new university environment? And maybe more importantly, what's one concrete thing someone could do to nurture that specific factor in themselves? Definitely some food for thought there.